The city of Cleveland is starting a program that would sue bad landlords who don't fix repairs. I'm Tony, and this is Real Estate Investing and Landlord News. All right, so I have an interesting article for you today, and it's going over the city of Cleveland suing landlords who they say aren't fixing problems that they have with their buildings. Okay, so obviously, Cleveland is one of those places right now. It's considered very landlord friendly. The properties are super cheap. So, guess what? There's a lot of out of state landlords who invest there. And there's probably a few who aren't doing everything that they're supposed to be doing, not fixing everything up, not keeping their buildings well maintained. And the result is now the city is going after those landlords and probably other landlords as well and suing them. Okay, so I have a problem with this. My big problem is that usually, whenever a city or a municipality or a government starts going after landlords, yeah, their intention is, they have good intentions. They want to help the poor tenants, but somehow the good landlords end up stuck in the net and we end up facing most of the consequences. Okay, this is why I am so against so many new rules and regulations and government programs that they put in place. They basically make it more difficult for landlords to operate their business, more expensive for us to operate our business, and we're going to pass those costs on to the tenant, making housing less affordable. So before I get into the article, go ahead, hit the like and subscribe button, maybe leave a comment down below, and let me know what you think. What do you think of the city of Cleveland suing landlords to get repairs done? Do you think this is a good idea? Do you think this is actually going to encourage those few bad actors who are not doing everything they're supposed to be doing? Do you think that's actually going to encourage them to suddenly, start behaving? Or do you think that the result is going to be, like I said, a lot of good landlords are suddenly going to find themselves in the middle of lawsuits from the city? Okay, that's what I personally believe is going to happen. So let's get into this article. This article is coming from news5cleveland.com, and it says Cleveland to file civil lawsuits against out of town landlords who failed to address property issues. Let's get into it. Frustrated tenants living at the residences at Shaker Square Apartments in Cleveland were relieved to hear the city will soon take legal action against out of town landlords who don't remedy property issues. News 5 has reported on tenant complaints at the complex over the past several months, but the city and people living at the property report few improvements have been made by property owner Chetrick Group, headquartered in New York City. Tenant Shameen Anderson attended the February 1st news conference as the city of Cleveland announced this legal initiative that will utilize resources from both the city law and building departments. Anderson claims she and 10 other tenants have had to find other forms of heating at their units for nearly 2 years. So, yeah, the claim is, from the tenant at least, that the landlord has not had the heat working in the building for the last 2 years, right? Now, I'm not saying that this isn't true. What I am saying is that, yeah, we're going to be using city resources to sue this landlord, right? And the question is, has the landlord been properly notified of the problem? And if the landlord has been properly notified, is the what is the reason why they're not repairing it? Is it because they can't afford to repair it? Now, no matter what happens, if you sue this landlord for a bunch of money, demanding this repair be done, and the landlord doesn't have any money, the repair is not going to get done. I know that's unfortunate, but what is supposed to happen here? So a lot of landlords, they get caught up in this situation where they miscalculate the costs. They don't understand everything that's involved in the process of being a landlord, and the end result is that, hey, repairs don't get done, tenants end up suffering because of it. And it's very possible that this landlord, who is based out of New York City, right, has a property manager who isn't doing everything that they're supposed to be doing either. So, I mean, we need to know more about this situation before we say, hey, something is 100% wrong here. Now, 2 years is a long time. Okay. So I'm not doubting for 1 second that maybe we have a bad actor in place. But there's more to the story. That's what I always want to tell people. Like, they think that, oh, there's a bunch of landlords, they're sitting there conspiring to collect rent and then not do any repairs. No, no, there's usually a lot more to the story involved. Be it, financial problems that the landlord is facing, be it issues with getting permits and getting, repairs done, because it's so bureaucratic involved in the process of getting permits. Like, these are some of the stories I've heard. Okay, and there is so much more that should be involved. We have been in and out of that office. We have been lied to, deceived. All they say is it's going to be fixed, Anderson said. I take it as a slap in the face. Basically, darn the other 10 units that have been without heat for 2 years. They don't care. They don't care. Anderson says she's been forced to use her own oven to just stay warm, something that has her concerned about her safety. I use one space heater because if you use two, it's going to blow a fuse. So you have to open your oven as well, said Anderson. I put mine on 400 and I have to sleep with it open. So yeah, my big question, and this is the big one, okay? Your heat hasn't worked for 2 years. Why are you still there? Okay? There has to be a better place with working heat for you to be able to move to. Now, then the reality of the situation starts to come in, right? The reason these people are staying in this place is because maybe this landlord isn't doing as thorough tenant screening. Maybe this landlord isn't charging as much rent as the other places down the street. Maybe if you didn't have this place, you would be literally living at a homeless shelter because it's all you can afford. And then you are kind of complaining about it, about the landlord being slow on repairs, but the landlord doesn't make enough money to be able to afford the repairs. That's kind of what my impression is of a lot of this stuff, right? Like, there has to be so much more to this story where people would stay in a place where they don't have heat for 2 years, and then sit here and complain to the city. Listen, you need to force this landlord to get the heat working in here. Yeah, the landlord needs to have the heat working in there. I agree with that, right? But why are you staying there? Nothing is holding you in that building. Nothing. Yeah, except for yourself and your own personal reasons. And maybe you understand that, hey, if I want a place with working heat, I'm going to have to pay several $100s a month more. If I want a place where all of the repairs are done all the time, I can't have these multiple evictions on my record. I can't have the criminal history like I have, or whatever the reason, right? So, yeah, these people who are staying there, they're staying there for a reason. News 5 reached out to Chetwick Group by phone multiple times on February 1st, but just like several other attempts made over the past several months, we're still waiting for a response. Cleveland City Council President Blaine Griffin told News 5 the city will allocate significant funds to its legal initiative, but couldn't get specific on how many dollars will be set aside for the program. Griffin said funding levels will be discussed when the city starts budget talks on February 14th. Yeah, and believe me when I say they are going to be going after other landlords. And, because they are allocating this money to it, right? Well, the money's got to be spent. So even if there aren't enough bad landlords for them to start suing, they're going to start going after the good landlords on smaller cases, okay? And that's why I don't think this is a good idea. I think this is going to be bad for the landlords. It's going to be bad for the tenants. And it's not going to actually improve the housing quality within the city of Cleveland, okay?